Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review, and today will be a special video as we showcase some different action figures of the beloved movie hero Indiana Jones. Alright, so the figure we're going to focus on today is the one right here in the middle, the Indiana Jones Adventure Series, produced by Hasbro of this year. This is kind of like the equivalent of like the Star Wars Black Series, but pertaining to the world of Indiana Jones. This figure in particular represents Indiana Jones as he appears in Raiders of the Lost Ark. In addition to showcasing this figure, we're also going to briefly talk about these two figures on the left and on the right. Mostly because, I don't know, I was kind of in the mood to just take a look at all these figures together. I have a handful of Indiana Jones figures in my collection, some dating as far back as the early 80s from my childhood. But for the sake of this review, I kind of wanted to pull out two of the more semi-recent action figures that we got, over the last, 15 years. All right, so where do we begin? All right, so let's start off with this one right here. This was produced by Hasbro back in, I think, 2008. This is about a 3 3/4 to 4-inch scale action figure of Indiana Jones. When this line first came out, I was really excited because it was kind of to scale with like the 25th anniversary G.I. Joe action figures that were out around this time period, around 2007. And it's a fantastic looking action figure. For a figure of this size, you got a lot of accessories. You got the idol, you got the whip, you got Indy, you got some sort of like top secret, I think, artifact. The package design was really cool too, really eye-catching, bright and vibrant. It was very much in line with like Hasbro's other scaled action figures of this time period, G.I. Joe included. And for me, it was just so cool because in some weird ways, you could kind of blend the two lines together, especially with the accessories. They had some really cool vehicles and play sets for the Indiana Jones line. On the back, nice bio on Indy and some other figures in this wave. There was the swordsman, Renee, Sala, and Marion. Also, Indiana Jones without the jacket. Definitely one of my favorite action figure lines from this time period. I was really big into collecting Star Wars and G.I. Joe, and when these figures came out, it was just awesome. Just because they were kind of to the same scale as the Star Wars and G.I. Joe stuff, and they're so beautiful. Really nice collection of action figures. Up next, we're gonna take a look at this big guy right here. This was a Disney Parks exclusive that was only available at Disneyland and Walt Disney World. This is the Indiana Jones action figure. This was produced, I believe, in 2007, I think. Wonderful action figure. It's really large. I think this is about maybe a 7 to 7.5 inch scale action figure. Comes with a lot of cool accessories, like the idol, the journal, the scimitar, and all sorts of fun things. In addition to the action figure, it even had this cool display base, which is kind of like a diorama, and it's awesome. Really nice looking action figure. I think the only downside to this figure is that I bought this when I was on vacation in Orlando. I think we were in Florida at the time for WrestleMania. And we took a detour and did Walt Disney World. And I remember when I saw this, I was so I was so stoked to like find this. But the big issue for me was just trying to like travel back home and keep this giant blister in my backpack without it getting crushed. But it's a beautiful looking figure. It's definitely dated. The engineering is very antiquated, but the presentation is well executed, and it's just a beautiful looking piece. The paint application, the dry brushing, even the likeness, it's not spot on to Harrison Ford, but it's a nice approximation. And then on the back, this is the completed figure with the display base fully assembled. And yeah, it's awesome. Definitely worth hunting down if you're into collecting Indiana Jones memorabilia. And at the time, this thing only retailed for $11.95 in the US. So quite the bargain. Alright, so that brings us to this. The year is 2023, and with the upcoming release of the new Indiana Jones movie, The Dial of Destiny, we have this, the Indiana Jones Adventure Series. This is Hasbro's take on Indiana Jones and some of the familiar characters of that world, but with much more improved and modern action figure engineering. This is kind of like the equivalent of the Star Wars Black series and also the recent Ghostbusters Plasma Collection from 2 years ago. There's also the Build the Artifact, which is the Ark of the Covenant. I think each figure includes, a couple of pieces. So if you collect the entire set, you'll be able to build the Ark. A wonderful illustration on the side. And then on the back, you're getting a nice photo of the action figure and all the accessories included. And much like the other Indiana Joneses we looked at, this also comes with the whip, the idol, the satchel, and multiple hand options. Alright, so let's take this out. Let's get this cut open first. And carefully... Okay, there we go. So I've seen these figures at my local Walmart, and the Indiana Jones figure is the one that you can never find on the shelves. It's the one everyone wants. Often by the time I get to the store, the only thing left is usually like Marion and Sala. But this I found on Amazon, lucky me, and let's get started. As a reminder, on the insert, they remind you that there's the Build the Artifact, and here are the instructions. Alright, there's a lot of accessories in this tissue baggie, so you want to make sure you get everything out. We have the whip right here. It's nice. I kind of wish it was a darker color. It's a little too light in my opinion. Then there's the whip as it's rolled up, so you can, I guess, mount it onto his belt. This is the accessory I'd probably be most concerned about losing. A very, very small pistol. You have the idol, which is cool, very iconic from the first film. Multiple hand options. We have the whip holding hand. We have it's not even like a gripping fist, but kind of like an open palm. Another fist, and yeah, we have two fists. And then we have the two eagles that are supposed to be mounted on top of the ark right here. All right, let's set these aside and take out the action figure, which I'm excited to look at. All right, my first thought was, is the hat removable? It is not. The hat is affixed to his head. The likeness, I think it's... From some angles, it looks like Harrison Ford, but then from others, I don't know. It might be the expression in the eyes. It's not perfect, but it's still a great-looking figure. Let's take a look at him up close. And then you could kind of make out his face right there. The brim of the fedora, I don't know if it's too small. I don't know, for some reason in my head I always kind of imagined the fedora being a little bit wider at where the brim is. I am impressed with the dry brushing effect on the leather coat. You'll notice the kind of like lighter shade of brown. It kind of creates that kind of like distressed, weathered look. Like it's a much older coat. You know, you have the it's more so prominent on the back and on the folds and wrinkles. His stock hands are his trigger finger and then another open palm. The trigger finger hand's nice because, you know, I kind of like this because you can either use it for the pistol and also for the whip. Speaking of the pistol, here's the holster. And you can open it up. I'm going to put the pistol in there now because I know if I don't, I'm going to lose the pistol forever. And let's deposit that inside. It's a really snug fit. So I think once it's in there, you don't have to really worry about it falling out. And then let's see if we could close it back up. Right, this way, this thing's kind of a... It's a snug fit, and it's almost too snug for its own good. But that's... And I can't seem... Oh, there you go. I could clasp it back on. I know I shouldn't be focusing too long on this, but I just want to see how well it works. Yeah, I can't tab this back in. It's probably just me. I'm probably being a little bit too particular. Come on, get it in there. Or if I can't get this, yeah, I can't get this. I'll worry about that later. I'm having a hard time tabbing in the little peg there into the hole. It's kind of like, it's kind of a tight fit, so it doesn't want to go in. Unless it, yeah, it's not going to, why doesn't it want to go in? Oh, there we go. Got it. All right, there's that. And then there's also the whip that I talked about earlier right here. The whip that's rolled up. There's, on his belt, you'll notice there's a hole, and then there's this thing here. And you can essentially just take the whip and then tab this into place, and it'll hold the whip on the side of his belt. But it doesn't want to tab in. All right, there we go. Yeah, this does not want to play. This does not want to work for me. Yeah, so I'm having a difficult time trying to tab that little peg into the hole. It doesn't want to. Every time I get it in there, it doesn't want to stay. So I might have to worry about that later. The figure overall is really well done. The articulation, let's examine that closely. There's a butterfly joint underneath. I don't know how I feel about it being colored like the jacket. You know, part of me feels like it should have been the same color as the shirt. But then, you know, look, when you peek through it, it might be more of an eyesore. So maybe leaving it brown was the best choice. But you do have that butterfly joint for extra range of motion. I think it's a single pinned elbow. Yeah, single pinned elbow. There is no bicep cut, but there is a bicep swivel. And then you have articulated wrists. There is no diaphragm cut or ab crunch. But he does have movement at the waist, and it's pretty extensive. You know, it kind of rolls around, which is nice. His legs, standard articulation. They kick up, they kick out. Upper thigh cut for a swivel. I think single pinned knee, but it's a hidden joint, and it's really tight on my figure. And then you also have knee swivel, which is good in addition to the thigh cut. So if you want, you could get some a little bit more extensive posing. And then of course there's articulated ankles at the cuff of the pants. But the range of motion is going to be somewhat limited by the way it's sculpted right there with the folds. Overall, beautiful figure. I think this is one fans have been wanting for a long time. His hand just popped off. And it's well worth the wait. I'm really curious to see how long this line will last, because I think there's only so many characters you could do. And, I mean, it's like when they did the Ghostbusters Plasma Collection, I kind of had high expectations that that line would exceed more than just, I think, the one or two waves. But, it seemed like it was just kind of stagnant. But I think there's more I don't know. I think the fan base for Indiana Jones might be a little bit more rabid. So hopefully, this line will continue for at least, I'm hoping at least 4 waves. I think 4 waves is enough to cover all the main characters. But awesome figure, well worth the purchase. If you can find it, jump on it. It's awesome. All right, with that being said, let's wrap this one up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. I greatly appreciate it. So until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and this guy does not want to focus. And most importantly, be happy. And I'll see you at the next one. All right, later.